hot word today is sustainability, of course. And I think to myself, how long has agriculture been around? Maybe back to Adam and Eve? I'm not sure, but it would seem to me that we already have a hook on sustainability. And not only do we have a hook on it, but we have improved ourselves and we are producing more. We're doing it with better methods. We're saving the soil. We're great stewards of the land, and I think we already have the right sustainability model.
Congressman Berg, welcome and thank you for taking the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Why did you decide to run for Congress?
Well, it was one of those things that I actually had planned on retiring from politics. I've been involved in the North Dakota legislature. I made that announcement, and quite frankly, everything that was going on out here was so different on how I believe government should operate and the results. And so my wife and I, we sat down and said, she told me, I support you if you feel you need to do it. And quite frankly, it was like I felt if I didn't do it, I'd regret that I didn't make an attempt to run for Congress.
Being on Ways and Means Committee, you probably more than most lawmakers have been briefed and have a really good understanding of just how serious this federal deficit situation is. When you go back home to North Dakota, how do you explain this to your constituents about the challenges, the sacrifices that are going to have to be made over the next many years to rein in the deficit?
Well, it's really difficult, but it's also, in North Dakota, 10 years ago, we had a deficit. I mean, not this bad, but we had a deficit. And what we did is we said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to tighten our belt at the state level. We had one of the toughest budgets in our North Dakota's history. And then we said we're going to encourage the private sector. We looked at those areas that had potential to grow and encourage those industries. Certainly agriculture is important in North Dakota. And quite frankly, the last 10 years, there was a transformation. We've had in our state a 7% economic growth last year. We've got 10% of our budget in cash. Things are working well. And so what, again, I'm telling people back in North Dakota is we need to do what we did in North Dakota, for our country. And so they understand that. But it's a challenge. We're spending $10 billion a day and we have $6 billion of income. So we're short $4 billion a day. That doesn't work for a farm, a ranch, a family. And that's the realization that people need to understand is we have to change the way we're doing business here.
You are not on the Agriculture Committee, but given your background, which I will ask you to go into here in a moment, got to think you're paying close attention to what goes on in the Ag Committee, and particularly interested in what transpires in the 2012 Farm Bill debate.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be a key issue. What I'm hearing from North Dakota is one of the top priorities is crop insurance, and that we need to, as we move to obviously a very big business, small business, but agriculture is big business in our state. It's a fundamental backbone of our economy. People need to be able to insure against different risks, and we need to encourage that producer to be able to make those choices that are best for him or her. And so, I really see that as being a strong component for North Dakota. And long term, we need to ensure that, quite frankly, that we've got open markets so we can keep our prices, at a level that we can be in the environment we're now in.
You're a farm boy.
Yeah.
Tell us about your life growing up on the farm and have some agribusiness experience as well.
Well, it's my dad's a veterinarian, so I grew up, going with him, pushing calves and doing that kind of thing. I certainly wouldn't be out here today if I hadn't grown up in rural North Dakota. That's where you learn that you can't spend all your money, or you can't spend more than you make, and you need to save for a rainy day. And so again, my dad passed away 10 years ago, so I wish he were here. I'm sorry, but clearly those fundamental core beliefs and purposes that we learn, hauling bales, working in agriculture, are things that we need to apply now at the national level. And so went to school, NDSU. I'm an Ag-Econ grad. Got out of NDSU and we started a real estate company. So I've always joked that real estate is a lot like agriculture. You work for 30 years and eventually you pay off the mortgage, and then hopefully you have some cash at the end of that point. So And again, it's North Dakota is really dependent on agriculture, and so many of those values and things in agriculture apply to any business, and they apply to our country. You know, the biggest challenge that I find out here is, you know, there's 435 people in the House of Representatives. And if you look at production agriculture, I'm not sure what the percent is, but it's maybe 1% of the people that are actually involved in production agriculture. We're out here in the House, there's a lot of people that aren't familiar with production agriculture. And so it's real critical that we, again, get the message out, you know, talk to people. The Senate's a little different because every Senate has ag in their Senate, you know, district, but in the House it's different. So again, I think it's really important for people to reach out to their congressmen as well as people that are represented in a very urban area.
North Dakota at large, Representative Rick Berg. Congressman, thank you so much for the time.
Oh, thank you.